Have you noticed a difference in your pupil or children's behaviour since the pandemic? If so, you're not alone. The A Loss for Life Schools programme is a primary school wellbeing programme which teaches kids from 3rd to 6th class the tools to manage their own minds at a very young age. Something I'm sure we all could have done with when we were in school. It's a free programme for schools to use, and it's A Loss for Life's mission to reach every child in Ireland with it. The programme is designed to equip children with the tools and skills to navigate the ups and downs of life by building emotional resilience, emotional literacy and emotional awareness. All you need is a screen, audio speakers and an internet connection. For more information on the A Loss for Life Schools programme, you can visit the A Loss for Life website or email the team directly at alflschools@alossforlife.com. If you would like to provide future generations in Ireland with the resources to be effective guardians of their own minds, then the A Loss for Life Schools programme is for you.
Jeev Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind. Hello, Diagwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination, the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. On Slice 51, it's the turn of Orang Éire GAA Malaysia. I chat to Na Fianna man Cian from Dublin, Belmullet's finest Pat, and Toronto native Jenn, who's married to Pat, to find out about life in KL. We chat the club name, working with Guinness, rivalries at Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Johor Boru and others, teachers flying to Tokyo from school for a weekend on an 8-hour flight, the 10th anniversary in Clifden GAA, 12 pubs recruitment, Pat's incentive for training the ladies, the Parish Cup, youth versus legends debates, playing against Sligo Rovers, ultimate frisbee, playing in the streets at 1 a.m, and 2 amazing stories involving the unknown Nigeria GAA and tourism in Ballymore, County Westmeath. A not to be missed episode here. But first, as always, let's head across to Malaysia from Singapore and find out all about the other part of the Malaysian peninsula. Consult us. Welcome back to the southeast of Asia and the country of Malaysia, which is situated on the Malaysia Peninsula and also across the water on the Borneo section known as East Malaysia. It is still to this date the strangest flight I've ever taken in my life, as we landed in Singapore on the biggest plane in the world, the A380, for about an hour and took off again to fly to Malaysia, which is all of 40 minutes away. There were only about 20 people left on the plane. About 50% of the country is of Malay descent, with the rest being a mixture of many nations. The country is Islamic by religion but has freedom for all religions and adopts the common judicial laws. The original name of Malaysia comes from the Melayu word, which has many theories of meaning. Among these, the fact it could be linked to Himalaya. It was around the 15th century that the Islamic beginnings of the Malacca region started out, and the name Malayu became mixed with the local name Melacan, the Muslim traders. The area at this time was part of the Sumatra region. When the Europeans arrived, they did the standard thing for the time. They rounded up all the locals and grouped them completely racially and called them the Malay race. It was Frenchman Jules d'Urville who decided that people should be regrouped, not much better to be honest, and thus created the Malaysia, Micronesia and Melanesia areas. Further explorers and writers brought in the idea of Indonesia. Given that the original settlers on the land go back more than 38,000 years, it's a bit rich of the lads to rock up and do that, but such is history, particularly in Asia and when the Europeans are involved. Malacca would go on to be taken over by Portugal and then the Dutch and then the British. 202 years ago, the British took the town of Singapore too and brought in their own rulers, as you would have heard in the last episode. During World War II, the Japanese took control of much of the area, including Singapore, North Borneo and Sarawak. During World War II, the Japanese took control of much of the area, including Singapore, North Borneo and Sarawak. Afterwards, the Malay Communist Party took control before Malaya became an independent member of the Commonwealth in 1957. But racial tensions continued to be alive and boiled over in the 13th of May race riots of 1969. Amazingly, the resulting policies from the riots actually helped to prosper the lands, and Malaysia saw a boom time that they had never seen before. The famed Petronas Towers, once the tallest building in the world, were among the projects and stand today as a symbol of the growth of the amazing country. Of course, things happened which caused some issues, such as the 1990s financial crisis and the 1MDB scandal, which is considered the biggest insider fraud case in the world by many. Malaysia today has 3 territories and 13 states, including the beautiful Sabah and my own favourite Sarawak. In Kuala Lumpur, the Petronas Towers are something else, and its amazing sky bridge on the 41st and 42nd floors. They're lovely from the ground. There's not a hope in hell that I'll ever go up that far. And what about Malaysian food? Nasi lemak, nasi kandar and mee goreng, to name a few. But then, outside the city life, is the beauty of the 99 islands and the likes of Langkawi with rainforests and beaches. You can also find the UNESCO site of Malacca, or the Gunung Mulu National Park, with the insane looking Mount Mulu. And of course the famous Batu Caves, complete with golden statue of Lord Murugan. Or go explore the Genting Highlands. One for you to see definitely is Gomantong Cave, a massive cave with bats in the roof, millions of cockroaches all around your feet, and the odd rat here and there too. But trust me, it's unbelievable. Not long before I was there, a certain David Attenborough had just visited. But above all those, on a personal level, I have to say that getting to the Sepilok Orangutan Rehabilitation Centre in Sabah was a highlight of a lifetime. And then getting the privilege of staying in the jungle area and to have the fortune to see a mother and baby orangutan in the trees was absolutely incredible. Genuinely, it is a savage country, and somewhere I'd happily go back to again and again. In terms of famous names, many of them may not be too familiar. Lee Chong-wei is a badminton player and 3-time Olympian who held the world #1 spot for almost 10 consecutive years. Actress Michelle Yeoh has appeared in James Bond's Tomorrow Never Dies. Former Cardiff owner Vincent Tan, Air Asia owner and QPR owner Tony Fernandez, and Army leader Arthur Percival. Perhaps the best known name of all the Malaysian list is that of Jimmy Chu, the man behind the shoe. Malaysia's most watched and played sports include soccer, hockey, rugby, volleyball, handball, basketball and MMA. Orang Éire GAA in Kuala Lumpur began in 2007 and have gone on to taste success in both the men's and women's games locally and on the Asian Gaelic Games levels. Orang is the Malay word for people, by the way, as you find out soon enough anyway. So let's head over to Cian, Pat and Jenn and find out all about life at Orang Éire GAA in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia.
How's it going?
Cian, how are things?
How are you, Jason? You well?
I'm alright, Jenn. How was all out in Malaysia?
Yeah, it's good. It's good at the moment. Everything's open, so can't complain too much. Weather is a bit shite at the moment, but it's the monsoon season, so but aside from that, it's good. We can travel around, we can play sport, pubs are open. The tough few months of it there in the summer, but overall it's all right. How about yourself? Where you're based in Mullingar, is it?
Yeah, Mullingar, yes. Teach in Chapel Lizard in Dublin, but live in Mullingar, so you're a Dub obviously, are you?
I am, yeah. So my thoughts and prayers are with you teaching in Chapel Lizard.
I love it up there, it's great. Whereabouts in Dublin are you from?
Marino.
Oh yeah, I went to college there, yeah.
Which Marino College was it, or?
Colossia were on Griffith Avenue there, the teacher training.
Yeah.
So
very good.
And what?
Familiar enough with it then?
Yeah, Griffith Avenue and all that area, know it fairly well. So what dragged you out to Malaysia?
Guinness, funny enough. Yeah, I work for Guinness in St James's Gate since I was 18. And just the job brought me over here. So that 3-month contract turned into a 3-year contract. So
it's a standard story, yeah. Jenn, how are you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hey guys, how are you?
Not so bad. Whereabouts you from, Jenn?
Canada.
Canada, very good. What part?
About an hour outside of Toronto, Waterloo.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I've been to the west, been to a lot of the west. I've not been really eastern at all.
Yeah, West is sort of there's a bit of the nicer part of Canada, I think.
Yeah. And what dragged you out to Malaysia? How did you end up there?
Teaching. So I came up for, as everybody does, came up for 1 or 2 years and then stayed for 13.
Very good. Are you primary school or secondary school?
Middle school. So like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in the American system. So it's like kind of 11 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah, very good.
Teaching
You're
them,
kind of-
teaching them PE. So it's good.
nice. You're kind of the same as me. I teach like the older primary school ones, so it's kind of the same age group, maybe 10 to 12. So it's kind of
Oh, yeah.
not too dissimilar yet.
And what do you teach?
In Ireland, if you teach primary school, you teach everything. So yeah, if I don't know how many subjects there are. There's enough anyway to keep you going forever. So
Yeah.
it's
And where are you right now?
I'm
Jason?
I'm in the middle of Ireland in a beautiful town called Mullingar.
Mullingar.
And yeah, are you familiar with it?
I think. But have we been there?
Yeah. Everyone bar the job will know where it is. Like,
Where's that?
driven there maybe. I can't remember. It sounds familiar.
So Mullingar is this place which Pat and Cian knows outside the Pale. So the Pale is this part of the world that most dubs just live inside and never come out of. And then Mullingar is it's a nice part located outside that. So yeah, I know Cian will know where it is at some stage in life.
we have to bypass it we have to go through it on the way or bypass it now, I suppose, on the way home
Where's home, Pat? Whereabouts? It sounds
Belmullet.
Mayo or yeah.
Mayo.
Oh yeah, not too bad. Are you still reeling from missed opportunities?
No,
Always.
I think we're-
You get a good reminder on a weekly basis as
I
well.
was going to say, yeah, you're in the wrong crowd out there. Yeah,
There though.
yeah.
I tell you,
And,
I wouldn't have signed up to it if I'd have known KL was full of so many Mayo men. It's extraordinary, it really is.
yeah, I've had a few clubs that have been littered with Mayo people, I suppose. You won't be the first one. Pat, you look like you're out by the airport or something, are you?
No, I'm in the office actually. I'm still in the office.
All right. The behind part looks like an airport for some reason. Maybe it's just the way I'm looking at it. But
No,
what do you-
our factory. So our factory is a window looking out on the factory.
And what brought you out to Malaysia then? Was it work?
Yeah, I came out. I'm out here for a while. I came out 21 years ago. Supposed to.
That's a while, yeah.
And it was an opportunity, we'll say, to come for a year. There was no big commitments. I was young and single and gave it a go for a year, and then kept extending it for a year, and then forgot.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of people's stories. I went out for a pint in the country on holidays, and 50 years later, I'm still there, still playing football with them. Yeah, I've heard that story a few times, right? Yeah.
The one that I get a great kick out of is the boys that went out to watch the World Cup in Korea and Japan and never left.
Yeah. That was the story with a few of them, right? Yeah, I heard that story. That was a good one, all right. They stayed longer than Roy Keane. That was my kind of tagline for them, I suppose. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, spot on.
Cian, I have to ask as well, because I'd say all the clubs I've on so far, most of them are just like, Singapore Lions or the Gales or Shamrocks, but you guys have quite a unique name for the club am I right? Orang Éire, is that how you're pronouncing it?
Yeah, Orang Éire, so yeah, quite unique. But Orang in Bahasa, Malaysia is people, and then obviously Éire is Irish, so Irish people. But yeah, it's quite unique because you go around the world and it's Singapore or Thailand, whatever, and people look at Orang Éire or OE as we call ourselves, and usually gets a few heads turned. All right.
Yeah, it's I presume I was looking at it going, some two orangutans haven't wandered around that part of the world a fair bit myself and gone to the orangutans. So it's kind of like there's definitely something in that. You obviously get a lot of publicity for it, I'd say.
We do. The other thing we get though is a lot of mistakes made with it, and I'd say 30% of the time we're called Orange Éire.
All right. That's just where you're just going for the ginger Irish look, is that it?
Yeah, Orange Éire, and we're trying to save the orangutans in Malaysia.
Yeah. Sounds about right. What are your roles at the club, Pat? What's your role in the club at the moment?
So I'm chairman of the club again for the second time. When we started the club back in 2007, I went in as chairman, and at that time, I suppose the club was small, so we were, I did chairman for 4 years, and then we were coaching the kids, ladies, men, and I had a belly full of it by 2011, so I decided to step back and give it a break for a while. And then we organised the Asian Gaelic Games in 12, 13, 14, so I'd set up a separate committee to do that. And then in 2019, we hosted the Asian Gaelic Games again. So I sort of went back in, because I had done it before for the 3 years. I went back in as chairman for the club. So we may be doing it again this year. We're still not sure. And after that, I think it'll be time to step back and give the younger boys a go at it again.
Fair enough, yes.
Until the next AGG.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And what kind of numbers are you talking at the club at the moment?
At the moment, probably we have about, on a good day, I suppose, 80, 85.
Okay.
We get sometimes I guess up to 30, 35, 40 at a push men. And then the ladies are regularly having probably 35 to 40 out at training. We have about 30 kids at the moment. But we see that that'll increase, I think, fairly quickly again. We had about 40 until COVID, and then like with COVID, we were shut down and we were stopping and starting, and people, I suppose, had different opinions of when they should send their kid back to play sport and all that. So we dropped down, and we were probably only operating at about 20, sort of 15 to 20, probably more closer to 20, and now it's gone back up the last few weeks again. It's gone back up to probably about 30 again, and we expect to get that up to probably 45 or 50 in the next couple of months, probably at the start of next year.
That's pretty good, because a lot of clubs still in the stage of trying to work out how to get the kids involved in the club, whereas you're fairly kind of advanced in it, I suppose. It sounds quite promising.
Yeah, it is quite promising, and I guess there's a lot of other sports that hasn't opened up here, so that's probably helping. That the word on the street is that get your kid out to Gaelic football, because that's the only thing that's opened, and it's a good sport, I suppose, in getting kids ready for any kind of sport. If you play a bit of Gaelic, you can always move to soccer, rugby, basketball, whatever the sport you're getting the kids ready for other sports, I suppose, as well, when they're in school. We're also probably one of the youngest ones that we take kids the youngest. So like we're 4, we take the kids in at 4 years old. So it's pretty young here. Most other sports, I guess, are 5 or 6 years old here.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What about the ladies' side then, Jen? You've obviously got decent numbers.
Yeah, so we've actually, it sort of dipped and sort of ebbed and flowed over the years. But after this last reopening in Malaysia, we've probably had some of the highest numbers that we've had ever. And I think a lot of that is we have a lot of teachers, like almost everybody is teachers. And so as the start of the school year started in August or September, new teachers had just come in and they were desperate to do anything. So everyone's just bringing their colleagues out, and we're easily getting kind of 35 signed up, with about 25, 30 showing up every week, and super keen. And I think it's one of those things, like we've never traditionally got many Irish girls. Like I could probably count maybe 10 over the last 10 years.
Okay, wow.
Or 10, and even less of those have even played. So for the most part, we haven't really had many women coming in who have actually played the sport. So we sort of sell it as the greatest sport that no one's ever heard of, that everyone can pick up on. You can relate it to any sport that you played before. And the atmosphere is really good, especially since it's connected with the men's side. So a lot of people are coming in couples, and so they're arriving at the pitch together, going for a drink after. It makes for a really nice night. So it's a little bit different than some of those other clubs that are just netball or maybe are really competitive and make you try out. It's sort of like we've had every range of player, and pretty much everybody is welcome. So we're really used to having new people coming in all the time and reteaching them and teaching them the sport. So no, it's really good in that sense. I think it makes a really welcoming atmosphere in that sense.
That's cool, yes. And what kind of nationalities and counties have you got represented over there?
Yeah, we did a count a couple for the ladies side. The men's side would definitely be more predominantly Irish, but in the ladies side, we had like a count, like, was it a couple years ago, Pat? And it was something like 21 nationalities over the last 10 years, like Trinidad and Tobago, New Zealand, China. Like, we just had people from literally everywhere. And it was awesome. And again, it's just like the smallest proportion generally are Irish girls.
Yeah.
But everyone loves the sport and they pick it up, and then you just drag everybody else out. So it's been awesome. It's been so good.
That sounds good, yeah. Are you keying exclusively football, or are you dual code, or?
No, we're exclusively football. I think when you have a Dublin and a Mayo man at the helm, you're not going to get much hurling enthusiasm there, let's be honest. But no, like we have a good few, Irish guys as well. But where the men's side, I suppose, would be, Irish, English mainly, Australian, Canadian, and a couple of locals then as well. One Mexican at the moment. But yeah, no, we've managed to keep the numbers up, which is great, because with COVID out here, especially for the men's team, we lost a lot of players during the summer, just people getting sick of it and going home. But we managed to recruit a good few more. And again, as Jenn said, it's just the club is just accessible. I think we do most of our recruitment on nights out, not really on social media or anything. Yeah. We've a great story from not last Christmas, but the last Christmas pre-COVID, and we done a 12 pubs at Christmas, and we managed to recruit 4 or 5, 6 lads just by going from pub to pub in a gang. People come and saying, "What are you guys up to?" It's like, "Yeah, we're a Gaelic football club." Okay, you look like fun, and away you go. So like we, obviously, the sport is great and training is competitive, and we do a lot of intra-club games, and we have our big grudge game against our Australian counterparts on Saturday.
Nice.
But like it's all about fun, and people keep coming back because we'll go for a beer after training. We organise fun nights out, and it's what keeps the numbers in the club as high as possible.
Yeah, and the key question, I suppose, is how many Westmeath people are in the club?
Have you ever had any, Pat? Have we?
I'd have to think about that one a bit harder.
Yeah, we've Dublin, Mayo, Limerick. You have a Tipperary lad in there as well.
We don't care about a lot of them. Yeah, so Westmeath people have obviously made no impact in Kuala Lumpur. That's good to know. So you have here. I know. Yeah, I must head out again. I've been out there a few times already. I must head out again. So you've a few rivals around you, I suppose. The likeliest, I'm guessing, being in terms of other clubs, been Singapore. But am I right in saying, is there clubs in like Johor Boru and all these other places? Have you had a bit of a better rivalry? Some countries are kind of stuck on their own. You guys seem to have a few around you.
Yeah, I think
our rivals have been typically, I suppose, Singapore. Our surrounding clubs, I suppose, have been the Thai GAA, Johor, Jakarta, Vietnam, and Singapore. A bit like any rivals, I suppose. You pick one that you don't like, and then they become your biggest rivals, and you make friends with the rest. So.
But yet yourself and Cian here on the same call. That's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, but we had to separate. Like we couldn't
fair
go
enough.
There's terms and conditions,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, are Singapore as good as they are made out to be? Because I've had quite a number of clubs on, and they've pretty much in Asia, especially, they've all kind of said, "Oh, the Lions, we hate them. They're too good." Blah blah blah. Is it same for you? Or are you happy enough to beat the heads off them?
They're good. They're a younger crowd, I think.
They're different. They're a different type of club, I think, right?
Okay.
Like,
yeah, 100%.
They've always had huge numbers of young men and women and enormous teams, and maybe like sort of they're fantastic, like definitely skilled, playing Gaelic out of the womb and all of that. So I mean, it's completely different. I think maybe they beat us on the pitch, and we'll beat them in the pub sort of atmosphere. So.
I think my first AGG, and like Jenn and Pat have been here a lot longer than me, so they know that established rivalry. But my first memory of AGG in Bangkok in 2018 was, we arriving to Bangkok and, going straight to the pub. And then I seen Singapore showing up, and they were walking into the hotel as if they're walking into Crow Park.
Suits and ties and the whole lot.
They're different. I think, from what I've seen, it's like, Singapore, Shanghai, Hong Kong, they've good numbers, they've good players in as well. But yeah, you mentioned Johor Boru there. I think, We used to play them a bit as well, but I think COVID might have put an end to them at the moment. But so they were a small club in Johor, but they were great, and we used to play them every couple of times every year as well. But I think unfortunately some of these small clubs now, especially with COVID, I'm not sure we'll see them again for a while.
Okay, fair enough. What's the relationship like then with the likes of Joe Trollan and Derek and them at the county board level? Is it a fairly kind of, because you're so spread out, like it's not like, you know, Belmullet in Dublin, it's like it's literally a massive fraction of the world you're trying to gather together. So what's the relationship like with the county board for, say, the men's side? Cian, what's it like? Or
I think, yeah, Pat, if you want to jump in there, you have a better.
Oh yeah, Pat, of course, yeah, be the main man.
There's a long history
Exactly,
with the county board. I was on the county board from, I think, 2009 to 2011. Cian is on it at the moment, and has been for the last couple of years. So there's a bit of a history there. I mean, we organised 4 Asian GAA games, and at that time, I suppose you're talking to Joe. Leading up to the games, you could be talking to Joe 5 times a day. And Joe's a man that makes himself feel welcome wherever he goes, and is welcome wherever he goes. So a great relationship with them. Like Joe is a great man for turning up at any event. If you were having a housewarming party, he'd fly down from Korea 6 hours for it. Anything to do with football at all, he's definitely there. Anything to do with a bit of crack, he's most likely there.
Yeah. He's a sound man, all right, yes. I was chatting to a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, he strikes me as the kind of guy, as my mother say, he turned up to the opening of an envelope if he thought to be a bit of crack at it. So yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, no, just I'm curious because the size of it, like I've travelled around Asia a fair bit, but the size of it is just outrageous. And then we've lads here, you know, giving out about having to drive 20 minutes to training, like, you know, it's a different ball game out there, I suppose. So
Russell could be a 4 or 5 hour flight.
Yeah, that's the difference, I suppose. It's interesting to see how the county board works on such like a world scale more than anything else. It's kind of fascinating in some ways. I suppose if I go off the pitch for a minute, what's a good night out like with the club? Jenn, you're already smiling when I mention night out. What's a good night out like with the club then?
Yeah, we always call ourselves a drinking club with a football problem.
Okay, you're not on your own there anyway.
It's very social. I think like kind of Thursday night training has been there for the better part of 10 plus years. I think it's always been on Thursday, and it's always been kind of Healy Max after that for a few, and regular weekend events are kind of always organized, and that ranges from like just social events have nothing to do with football to there was a tournament during the day, or a youth versus legends, or coconut cup.
Youth versus legends, is that what you said?
This is legends, yeah.
Is that on the pitch or off the pitch?
It's set on both places, to be fair, but probably more respected off the pitch, I'd say.
Okay.
It's usually it's never been won by the youth. Usually fixed by my husband Pat on the Legends team. I don't think they've ever won.
Always fixed, we'll say as well.
Always. Yeah. There's always goalposts moving and all sorts of stuff going on. So,
should I ask, just while you're on it? This is a tricky question. What categorizes youth versus what categorizes a legend?
Oh, this is a grey area, Jason. Pat might be able to shed some light on that, but it's a very, very grey area. At one point, youth was, you know, under 35, and now I think it's gone the other way. So
yeah, because I go to five-a-side and I'm 34.
At this stage.
Yeah, I was going to say I go to five-a-side at 34, and I feel like the outlet on the team. But what qualifies, Pat? What's your criteria? So
we do it fair as everything here. We start off from the oldest, so we pick the oldest and the youngest, and we meet somewhere in the middle. I mean, there are some controversial decisions where sometimes we may not consider one of the players a member of the club, so he automatically goes on to the Legends team. We have sometimes brought in players that just happen to be there for the weekend, and
this isn't another Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion story like Singapore had, is
it? Similar, very, very similar. Pat will fly everyone in private jet for that weekend conveniently. They'll all be on their holidays.
I was going to say, yeah, because Jack and Paul seem to have ended up on the famous Singapore party bus, and there seems to be a lot of stories about that. Are you flying people in, Pat, or is it just they happen to come at the right time?
They happen to come at the right time. You know, normally a day before the game and leave the day after. But
yeah, Aidan O'Shea just happened to land it in Kuala Lumpur for 24 hours, did he? Yeah, I hate when that happens, when they just turn up uninvited like that. Yeah, it's terrible. Right, so the legends is anyone who you determine to be on your team, and the youth are just the ones you basically don't want, and you just want to
pick up the scraps.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Yeah. Was there any other parts of the night out, Jen, that you've not hit on yet?
Oh, to be honest, over the last 18 months, like any night out is like absolutely brilliant now, and that's been able to be very organized. We used to, I'd say, like for our back in kind of those days, the like girls trips away or the guys trips away, or like just go visiting like single clubs for a weekend. Like there was a ladies legends tour that was initiated after the men had done it for a couple of years, but Emily Ward initiated a women's version of that in Asia, invited everybody over the age of, at that point I think it was 30, and from KL we hopped on like an 8-hour flight on a Friday, rucked up, played a game, went out all Saturday, and then flew back on Sunday morning. So it was like,
oh Jesus Christ,
just one of those. We haven't done those in ages, but that was the best part of this club, like visiting the other clubs. And Tokyo feels so easy and accessible, but it's still 8-hour flight away, but you still do it, go play a day of games and then go out in the night. So for me, I cannot wait for tours to come back. But for now, kind of those evening post-training drinks and organized events like the Saturday and so on, I think are as good as it gets right now, but still fun.
I love how an 8-hour flight is just a thing you jump on. Like,
I know.
I've traveled around the world, but like an 8-hour flight to me is like, oh dear God, like I'd want to mentally prepare myself for like a week beforehand. So that's yeah, good on you for doing it. I don't think I could do it though, to be honest.
So fun, yeah.
Tokyo was lovely, I will admit, but I still wouldn't fly 8 hours just for the crack on a Friday to get there. It's hard enough when I used to tip over to London the odd time for a day or two. Like that's far enough. So
there were two girls that had left right from school, had missed their flight, got redirected to Bangkok, flew from Bangkok overnight to Tokyo, landed at 8:00, took a train, then a taxi, and then just came straight to the pitch in their teaching clothes, straight onto the pitch, beer in hand, ready to go. I was like,
and then flew back the next day.
Yeah.
You're psychos. I don't know how the hell you do that. Jesus Christ, that's not normal.
Pure commitment.
There's commitment, like, and then there's just carnage. Yeah.
Any excuse to get away from our husbands and kids for a weekend.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. What about then the one kind of two parts, I suppose, that come up for a lot of clubs? A little bit varied in Asia, but for a training ground, how are you guys fixed, Pat? What have you got for yourselves?
I mean, up until COVID, we had the use of the schools, so we were renting pitches at the schools, and then because a lot of our kids go to one of the schools, and there was a lot of players, as John mentioned, a lot of the teachers there, we were getting one of the schools. We were getting 2 pitches in one of the schools every Thursday and every Saturday. So that was brilliant, and wasn't super it wasn't awful expensive, so it was great to have. Right now we're using a university pitch, and then for the kids we have another sort of school pitch, I suppose. But we're not having huge issues. We might have to move around a little, but we're able to get pitches relatively easy at the moment, and hopefully the schools will open back up to us again in another couple of months.
Well, good, yes. Okay, you're not too bad. So, and then Cian, the other big one is the fundraising side. Most clubs around the world aren't able to do the send the child up to the bar and sell 3 for a $5 to the outlads at the bar. But what do you do for the fundraising side?
Well, we've been lucky kind of the past few years, I suppose. We've had some really good sponsors. The likes of Healy Max would have been our main sponsor, and would have been really good to us then as well. But I think the main side for us is obviously like our membership, where a lot of our income comes from. Obviously, Asian County Board grants are great and sponsorship is great, but we've been even this year we've done pretty well in terms of membership, and we offer a good incentive, like especially for our kids setup. Some of the parents will say it's the best deal in town, and with our membership, we're incentivizing people as well. So like any of the men or the ladies, if you pay your membership, you get a training top. Or a polo, and then there's always a couple of nights out, and we'll always throw a few beers behind the bar, and plus training pitches can be expensive out here as well, so I think in terms of membership, we offer a good deal. You know, that word spreads, especially out here in the expat community when everyone's playing soccer and rugby in the same clubs, and they kind of hear, oh, you know, you can join this sport and this is what you get for this amount. And we do a lot, you know, in terms of training every week, but then matches the weekend and nights out. Like if you look at our calendar for the rest of the year, it's pretty packed. So I think like membership is where a lot of our money will come in for sure.
Okay, that's pretty good. I suppose I should ask, since I haven't found a club in a while, maybe you had like a good kid setup with the locals. How do the kids find picking up the skills? Are you training them to actually pick the ball up with the toe, or are you just doing the Dublin way of we take it off the ground and pretend we picked it up anyway, or how does it work?
You see, in Asia, we don't use the toe ourselves because on the 7-a-side we it's all unless you're in the A competition. Which probably only 4 or 5 teams in the A competition. Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Seoul are probably the only 8 great teams, and the rest of the sort of intermediate and junior teams do not use the tool. So I
didn't know that. It's taken a lot of Asian clubs for me to learn that one. Nobody told me that before.
The kids isn't the concern. We're still trying to teach the Mayo lads how to solo, so there's still a bit of work to be done here.
Oh yeah, I was waiting for some kind of dig to come in there from somewhere. Yeah, you're right. You're obviously a St. Vincent's man, then. Would that be right, Cian?
No, Na Fianna actually.
Oh, you're Na Fianna, okay.
Yeah, I went to school in Glasnevin and hadn't lived in Marino my whole life, so I was with Na Fianna since I was 5. So when I moved to Marino, I couldn't change club, but I certainly got a lot of slack walking around Marino Fairview in the blue and yellow of the Fianna, and the rivalry was good.
So Johnny Cooper is your go-to for picking the ball up off the ground, which is probably
100%. Yeah, that's right. And on Merchant possibly as well. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes. And Pat, what was since I'm talking about at home? What was your time like playing? You play with Belmullet, or what was your early years like?
Yes, and I played school and played at Belmullet, but I left home when I was 22. So. And then there was no Gaelic football out here. So when I moved out here, we hadn't a club, I suppose, until 4 or 7 years after I moved. So by the time we set up the club, you were nearly too old to play.
You were on the Legends team by then, were you?
I was on the Legends team.
You didn't get a chance on the youth side. That's probably why you're just so fond of the Legends side. I could see now where it's coming from. So yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, Jenn, what was your sporting background like in Canada or elsewhere?
Yeah. Obviously not Gaelic. I hadn't heard of Gaelic until I stumbled upon it in KL. But I played a lot of basketball and volleyball, a lot of ultimate frisbee. Great sport. Nice. But a lot of field sports and a lot of court sports, but all invasion. So I felt the transfer to Gaelic football was relatively easy. Sort of actually combined all of my favorite sports into one. So yeah, it was a pretty cool find that day.
Do you think there should be more physicality in the ladies' game?
To be honest, I'm not sure what it's like outside of Asia. Like I played in Canada for the year that I had moved home, and sometimes we get mixed messages. So when the Irish referees come out and they ref us, some years they've been like whistling everything and seemingly don't let anything go. Meanwhile, we've been playing the entire year this style of football, and all of us are very confused by the sudden restrictions. But I think for the most part, it's quite fine. Like the way we explain it to girls that come in, like it's not as rough as rugby. No one's going to pull you down, but it's more physical than a post player in basketball. So that kind of gets their idea of like, I think everybody likes that aspect of it. We also have an AFL club that's in Malaysia right now, and that has kind of the full tackle and all of those aspects to it. So those that want a little bit more physicality, there's another sport that's very similar that has a lot of those similar skills with that, additional tackle and a little bit more rough play, let's say. But yeah, no, I think it's quite okay. Most people, when we've been playing regularly on the circuit, everyone kind of gets the feel for how much you can do, and yeah, I think for the most part, everybody adapts really well.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Yes, it was just interesting to ask because over here there's often talk about how much referees let go in the ladies' game and how much they don't let go sometimes. So it's it's interesting to hear. I put the three of you on the spot maybe slightly here, but Cian, the highlight of your time on or off the pitch so far with Malaysia.
I suppose I've been unlucky enough. I kind of came out here and I was out here for 6 months, and then I went home for the summer. And then by the time I came back out, kind of COVID was around the corner. So I've actually only gotten 2 AGGs, and one was in KL. But certainly, I think Jenn said earlier, but the best memories are the tours. You know, like just even being in Bangkok on a bus, going to a pitch, playing a bit of football. You mightn't win on the day, but just the camaraderie and the fun around it then as well. It's like the tours, even traveling 3 hours down to Johor and just getting away for the night with the club, playing sport, but having a lot of fun on the way down. Certainly been my highlight. Obviously, we're hoping that tournaments can come back next year.
Yeah, what are Thailand like? I had them on, and I suppose very biased lads, because one of them I would know here from home, played for Westmeath, and the other is from Offaly down the road. So they obviously talked great about their club. Are they as tough as they make themselves out to be?
They're good fun. From my memory is AGG 2019 in KL, and we played them in the intermediate final and won. But we had a great night out with them. Yeah, I remember we were dressed as Dalmatians, I think, and can't quite remember what they were dressed as, but it was something similar. And we had good fun with the lads in Thailand.
Okay, sounds good.
Was it Niall Garrity you were speaking to? Was it?
Not Niall and Dude McCormack. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They're a good crack now as well.
They are, yeah. Niall is back home here, actually. He's teaching.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's either moving or he's
Temple Oak. He's teaching out in Temple Oak, so he wouldn't be a million miles away from where I am in Chapel. We kept in touch a fair bit since then, and Dude McCormack would be fairly well known, having played for Westmeath for a while, and my brother would have crossed paths with him on the intermediate and senior stage, I think, at some point in life. And he's very well known here, mostly for good football, but also he was involved in a very nationally publicised jaw-breaking incident against Armagh, where nobody has ever come forward as the person who basically rewired his face in some ways in a challenge game, which is even more annoying. But that's what the two of them are fairly well known for over here. So what about you, Pat? What's the highlights on and off the pitch?
I suppose I've been involved in the club from the very beginning, so there's quite a few highlights. You know, we coached the girls, I suppose, to start with, when we coached the girls, and they won in Hong Kong, the final in Hong Kong in 2010.
Nice.
And with one Irish player. So that was, I suppose, a highlight. And then hosting the first few Asian Gaelic games, I suppose, was special, because they were huge events and nervous doing it, and when it all worked out well and went well, there were huge moments as well. But one of the ones that sticks in my mind that was like a great crack, and was we had our 10-year anniversary in Clifden in Galway.
Nice.
So we got 100 people into Clifden that weekend, from 17 different nationalities. And we had a function in the Old Cock and Brown, and then we bust everyone out the next day to Roundstone, watching the Galway regattas on the Sunday. Beautiful weather for the weekend, great crack, and when we landed there on the Friday night, it wasn't good weather. It was lashing rain. Everyone was like, "Where have you taken us?" Like, Jesus, we've got to Galway, and then we took us a long time to get from Galway to here. So I was like, don't complain now. Like, let's talk on Sunday evening. If you're not happy on Sunday evening, I'll listen to the complaints. But by Sunday evening, everyone was saying it was one of the best weekends they had in their life. Like, there's lovely people, were like super friendly to them, and they just enjoyed the sort of, I suppose, the simpleness of the west of Ireland, and like good crack, and everyone willing to have a chat with you, no matter where you were from.
And did you bring them to an actual GAA match when you were there? Was it just to show them the social side of Ireland?
No, we rented we were given the pitch. We didn't rent it. We were given the pitch by the Clifden GAA, and we played a match against each other. So it was
brilliant.
The idea of the anniversary was anyone that had ever played for the club was invited back. So it was a reunion of people, a proper reunion of people, and then we split the teams up and did a few games that on the Saturday afternoon.
Brilliant. That's absolutely class. Yeah. That's quite a memory to have, I suppose. They'll treasure that forever, despite the shitty weather. Sure. standard west of Ireland weather, though, of course. And Jenn, what's been your main highlights on or off the pitch?
I think Pat just might have stolen one of the ones that I would have said, but that anniversary was pretty phenomenal. We had organized. That was the anniversary of the club, and then the girls team was formed the year after. So we had done a 5-year anniversary down in Australia with a couple of girls in a camper van, and then so we said we'd do a 10-year one, and we ended up getting 20 girls flying in from 10 countries to Croatia for a week, and it was like absolutely brilliant. And I think that and the 10-year anniversary that we had with the entire club just goes to show how tied everybody still is to this club. So people that we had 13 years ago, they're still invested and interested and ask and follow the Facebook page, and we're on when we're at AGG and we're playing and things like this. So it's such a community. It's so fantastic in that sense. So that's kind of off the pitch. On the pitch,
did you, while you were on it, did you take on any of the Croatian GAA team that's out there now, or was it just the social thing?
We didn't take. I don't know if they even have. Do they have a team in Croatia?
They have,
I don't know.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
We had gone when we went to Australia. We had made a big deal about organizing some games with one of the clubs in Melbourne, and we had brought kits and pins, and we were like so excited to have this thing. And we brought like 6 or 7 girls, like we didn't have many, and they brought like 3 or 4. So we had to like donate players to them, and it wasn't very well received. So we basically left that experience saying like, next anniversary, we're not playing against anybody. We'll just do our own thing. Cool. So that was sort of funny, but yeah, no, we've had some great experiences, and we've had a lot of wins and a lot of losses. And I think really at the end of it, the community is the best part of this club. And it's the reason why people feel so invested and so interested in it and still follow and want to be a part of it. So it's so unique, because I've never had a club or a team that I've been a part of that's like this. So it's pretty special.
Are you
in one important point there?
Go on.
What's that?
Pat talks about being very proud of coaching the ladies team, but Pat had some extra incentive when he was coaching the ladies. You might want to ask him about that.
You want to tell us, Pat, what the extra incentive was?
After I'd finished there, I probably should have mentioned that I met my wife while I was coach and married her. So in 2012. So I was saying, when you were asking for the highlights, I was like, when I finished, I was like, I picked a final. I picked a weekend in Clifden. I probably should have mentioned that as well.
Okay.
I didn't mention it because you didn't mention it. So.
Yeah.
I didn't want to embarrass you in front of the lads, Pat, so I just left that one out.
Okay. Surprised either of you didn't say it now, you know?
Yeah, neither of you said it, yes. Wasn't as good a weekend as you made it out to be, sadly. But anyway, never mind. Cian, I was going to put you on the spot slightly again, but the toughest team I know you've had 2 AGGs, the toughest team you've come up against yourself?
I think it would be Singapore again. Just their pace, but honestly, for myself out here,
absolute bastards in Singapore. Everybody hates.
I know. They're quick, they're physical, and they're good. But I think for myself, like outside of AGG, like the toughest games I've had is against the Australians. To be honest, we play the Malaysian Warriors out here a lot, and they're all about the physicality. They have some big lads, and they understand Gaelic players. It's like when you watch the international series at home, we want to be quick and fast and move the ball in fast, but they just want to hit you and hit you hard. So I've had some tough games against them where I've been bruised and battered coming out. But in terms of like skill level, you're looking at anytime you've come up against your Singapore's, Shanghai's, they've been pretty good. Like,
okay, what about back at home with Na Fianna? Who were the toughest?
When I was playing, so I suppose when I was minor, moving into junior, then at that point there was always Plunkets where I had a really decent side. Before minor in my division, of course, Vincent's were always up there as well. And for myself, I think we came across St. Jude's in many cup finals. I don't know what way that worked out, but they always gave us a good battle then as well. So, but yeah, as from playing as a kid, it was always Plunkets that stood out in my memory because I think they always managed to beat us.
Yeah, no, I've fair experience with them. Not playing with them or anything, just I lived in Ashdown for a while when I moved to Dublin first. So they were kind of my first local club that I used to go and watch, and then moved to Porterstown. So then it became Castleknock, and then I've had plenty of choices of clubs up in Dublin to go follow, which is handy. So
there's enough there as well. But I think with Plunkets, they have a really good kids setup. I think when it comes towards adults in the older age, I think they might struggle a little bit more compared to other clubs, but some serious battles with them when they're kind of 16, 17s moving up.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit nowadays. They're recruiting lads from Orang Éire these days. So I have a friend playing.
You're desperate, yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I'll let them know that. So yeah, and Pat, who's been the toughest opponents you've had more experience, I suppose. Who's been the toughest ones?
Yeah,
the youth side. No, would the youth side be the toughest opponents?
No, they're easy for sure.
Result is always the same.
Actually, one of our toughest games of the year, we used to have the Parish Cup, and so we'd split KL into 4 different parishes, and like everyone played for pride with their parish, and that was probably one of the hardest games we were ever going to play. There was a year long slag involved, and whoever didn't get it. There was borders being moved at times to suit.
There was a lot of lines being moved there, Pat, now, if I remember rightly, the last few ones, yeah.
Because you're going full gerrymandering politics here, moving lines, are you?
The postcodes in KL start to move a slight bit now.
Brilliant, yeah. And what about outside the Parish Cup? Have you had any other massive ones that you can think of?
We had one, there was a good one against... Nigeria sent up a team for the last Asian Gaelic Games, and well, they had one Irish fella. They went down and taught them, so they had the basic rules. But geez, these boys were fit and they could run forever.
Yeah.
And if you got in their way, you weren't going to be standing for very long. And that was one of the toughest, like physically and everything. Like we were trying to chase them down the field, we couldn't catch them. If we did catch them, we didn't know what to do with them. they were strong, they were tough, and they bet us by about, I'd say, 10 goals in 14 minutes, which is hard to believe it's possible.
Wow. I've never heard of a Nigeria GAA team, because I know in Africa I've had the South African Gales on, all right, but I'd never heard of a Nigeria team. I know there's one in Cairo.
It was only set up. The guy was working down there, I think, and it was only set up to bring these boys to the game. So I don't know if they ever. I don't even know if
they have 100% win record. Played won it by 10 goals, and we've retired the club. That's the perfect way to go. Geez, okay, Nigeria. That's the last team in the world I was probably expecting you to name when I asked that question. So I'll definitely have to put it down as an answer. What about with Belmullet? Were you coming up against the big men?
Most of the time when I was at home, I played with the Belmullet soccer team.
All right.
And I suppose the toughest ones we ever played we played the Sligo Rovers youth team.
That's my team. I'm a Sligo Rovers fan. That's my team.
But that was probably one of the toughest games we ever had. And I mean, even we were arriving, togging out of the back of our parents' cars, and they arrived with a fancy bus and with proper kits and everything. We barely had the jersey and the shorts to get out there.
Not so bad yet. Sligo Rovers.
But it was good, yeah. It was good. We actually beat them by a goal, so.
All right, I didn't. I'll edit that part out. No one ever beats Sligo Rovers. I'll just edit that part out. So, yeah, we didn't need to hear that part. And Jen, what about you then? Who on the ladies' side have been the toughest you've come up against?
Oh, it's just boring.
Don't say Singapore.
Talking about it over and over again. I'll talk about another team other than Singapore. Back in those years that we won 3 in a row. They're kind of 2010, 11, 12, and we had a really good rivalry with Vietnam. And they were based out of Hanoi, and they were really like this. Is this
Na Fianna or is this Saigon? Because I've had the two on, and they'll murder each other if I don't clarify who's who.
I don't even know if you remember.
Were they wearing red or green?
I don't even think there was. I think it was just literally Vietnam, but they were based out of Hanoi. Okay. Is that right, Pat? Do you remember?
Yeah. So the starting team, yeah, there was Hanoi was the starting team, and whatever players they had in Saigon or would fly
the Hanoi team. Sorry, okay, yeah. Them.
And then they got enough players in Saigon to start the second team. So
but this was like the girl that was heading it up was a French girl, and she used to tell us stories about like grass pitches or dirt pitches, and couldn't find anywhere to play. And she'd go out on her motorbike with like these posts as goals and these sorts of things. And like, she just had great stories, but she had a ragtag group of people as well that she was teaching, and she's French and she's just, figuring it out. But we'd always meet them in the finals. And it was an awesome rivalry. Like as soon as the game finished, it was like beers at the side of the pitch, everybody mixed up together, like a really, really good atmosphere. So they were unfortunately, we felt great because we were always on the winning side, but they were such gracious losers, and they were so good at just kind of connecting with us. And I think we always have it. Especially the women would always have an affinity for any club that's sort of a little bit like us, like not entirely made up of natural Gaelic players, people that have played it for ages. We're sort of like to find those clubs and connect with those clubs that are made up of the basketballers and netballers and soccer players and the random person that's never played a sport before and that sort of thing. So I'd say those are the ones that we sort of make greater connections with. So.
Okay, sounds good. Just since you mentioned
Singapore, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just Singapore. Just since you mentioned, I suppose not the natural footballers. Your part of the world is quite common for the Irish, the All Stars, and the big names of the GAA world to head out. Have you recruited any into KL for a summer or at any stage in life that you can think of or remember? No, nobody.
No, we haven't.
Straight out.
We had a guy called Conor Clark who had played for. I was on the squad for the Down team.
I was going to say,
he was probably one of our best ever players. He's in Sweden now, still winning medals. But he was a fantastic player. We've had some really good players come through, but we've had no All Stars or anything like that.
Okay, fair enough. You just have a Belmullet man and a Mayo man at the helm for the lads. So that's our Dublin man, I should say, Belmullet man and a Dublin man. So the last question I'm asking, there's a few kind of quick fire ones, I suppose. But what's the future, Pat, like for KL now that COVID is starting to disappear, hopefully?
Sorry,
go ahead.
Go on, Pat. I was trying to cut me off. You're all right. Go
on. It's looking. I think it's looking fairly good for the future. We've got a decent new bunch of lads, load of new girls in, and the kids side is taking off as well. So hopefully we'll be able to start traveling again by February or March into the region. We'll say. So it looks like Thailand are opening up. Singapore seem to be opening up. Vietnam, I think their vaccination is going well. So hopefully they'll open up again by that time. And we're hoping to get possibly some sort of small South Asian games type thing. So maybe us, Singapore, Thailand, possibly Vietnam in here. And then we're already starting to talk about the Asian Gaelic Games, right? Depending on where that's going to be. I mean, we missed our year to host it in 2020 and 2021. So we were, we would still happily host it, but at the same time, we're not searching for it. If it comes to us, we'll take it. But we're also quite happy to travel and enjoy it in some other country that wants to host it.
Okay, fair enough. And Cian, what were you about to say there?
No, Pat said. I thought you said Cian first, so don't mind me.
Oh, you know what I mean? That's just a Dublin versus Mayo on the call and on the pitch. Fair enough. Yeah. And for the ladies' side, Jenn, what's the hope for the future then?
I think just continuing on the track that we are. Honestly, I think that the numbers that we're getting out and the enthusiasm is really high, both kind of on the pitch and off the pitch. So it's sort of like I've said, being here for years, you see how it kind of goes in and out of dragging people out versus you have so many people, you have too many teams and not enough playing and too much sitting off and that sort of thing. So that's a good problem to have. So we're happy where we're at, and I think we'll just keep on continuing with that. And the word is out, and we're getting great numbers, and I think as soon as we're able to travel, I think there'll be big numbers for tours. So.
Okay, sounds good. Cian, just what I think of it actually, and since County Board, people on the call, the chat of the World Games coming back in 2023, is it something you guys would like to be at?
Yeah, 100%. I think what we've said as a County Board is that as soon as we're safely allowed to host tournaments and to travel, we'll be doing it. We've World Games is definitely, up there. Might be a little bit harder, but as Pat said there, for ourselves here in Asia, even if it's not full scale Asian Gaelic Games, South Asia will probably do something, and then North Asia will probably do something as well. If you look at North Asia, I mean, China has a lot of clubs up there as well, and they could have their own tournament. And then even for ourselves down here, I think, Vietnam have three clubs as well. So I think that's realistically, for next year, that's what we can hope for, small regional games. But yeah, no, certainly if something changes drastically and we can do AGGs and World Games, and yeah, I definitely think we've all been sitting at home, not doing a lot as a county board for the last, 2 years now. So yeah, we'll certainly press go on whatever we can.
Sounds good, yeah. If you can put in a word to the GAA for some live podcasting at the World Games, that would be fantastic. I know a fella would be interested.
I was waiting for the sales pitch.
Yeah, I might as well put it in. I might as well put it in now. So I might have to bring a 1-year-old child potentially at that stage, but I'll bring him or her along with me. So
you're always welcome to Southeast Asia. Anyway, give us a shout.
Yeah, although the Singapore lads seem to have suggested that Micheál Murhertig has taken the gig out there because Cormac is on the Singapore team, his son. So I think I've been ousted of the commentary and duties out there already. But I might have to try on some toes and get out there again. But and then there's a quick fire questions that these are the ones that people really want to know. This is what the listeners go mad for, apparently. On the men's side, Pat or Cian, the toughest nut at the club, the one who's likely to cause a row, get sent off, or just a legend in the pub, one or the other?
I'll let you answer that one for sure. I'm looking at your brother here now, Pat.
Yeah. So the toughest nut on the pitch, probably last year, I suppose, would have been Mark Green. He was probably about 5.5 foot, but made himself about 6.5 foot when he got on the pitch. And normally had somebody else coming off it.
And what did your brother do that has caused his name to be thrown in the mix?
There's been a few stories with him. Like, they decided to start playing Gaelic football at 1 o'clock in the morning up and down the pub street, and put the ball in over the balcony, knocked out the entire table of drink. He was going up the stairs to apologise, and he was met by about 5 men coming down looking for him.
So as we can't forget our coach from Limerick, who was usually the first one to cause a row against the Australians as well. So we'll throw him into that category. You'll be happy to hear it, I'm sure.
You've got a list of names going on. Some clubs are thinking, no, we're all very polite. You're just still like, here's my list of names. Here they are. Let's get them all out there. Yeah. Is there any on the ladies' side, Jenn?
Oh God, I was just trying to think about this. God, on the pitch.
Probably you, Jenn.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was trying to think. Okay, yeah, maybe probably me.
I was wondering when I asked the question why you were sweating so much. I was like, this is why.
Oh God, who do I select here? Alison Mancini. She's pretty tough on the pitch. We wouldn't want to come up against her, I'd say. Okay. Off the pitch, we've had some pretty solid boat racing teams actually over the years.
Right.
A couple of girls have been around for a while, but I actually am going to put some money on some of the new girls. They're pretty young. They're pretty eager, I think, to please. So I think they might come in pretty well. This Saturday will probably tell a lot when we have one of our socials. So I'll suss it out and I'll get back to you.
Brilliant. Sounds good. Is there a club karaoke song of choice, Cian?
Molly Malone, Dublin the Royal Times. They're usually the first ones that get played in Healy Max. It's not right, Pat.
The Mayo lads have no problem singing that, have they?
No, we're okay. We let them have their day.
I am fairly certain that every person in the club, regardless of where you're from, that Aussie, that Trinidadian, know the words to Green and Red and Mayo. I think it's like a membership requirement before you're a part of the team. Pat makes them recite it. So
okay, so it's like learn the pledge, you learn the oath, to learn the Green and Red and Mayo. Okay, fair enough.
You asked me earlier about at Lone Men. Or at Westmeath Men. So
yeah,
I didn't say anything because I wanted them to spend the next 52 minutes seething, saying that fella never mentioned me.
Yeah.
We had two absolute legends, one from Athlone, one from Ballymore.
Oh gosh.
Both great crack. But the Ballymore man talked Ballymore up. Every Christmas we had at our Christmas party, he'd get up and do a 15-minute presentation on Ballymore from a tourism site. And then
which was Cunningham's pub, and that's it.
Yes, exactly. But then he found this poor Aussie fella called Mac Fries, and McBride sent a message on the group saying, lads, I'm heading to Ireland. Is there any place you'd recommend? So Enda, which is his real name, but nobody calls him it. He decided to call Mac on the side and recommend Ballymore. And Mac drives all the way from Dublin to Ballymore, and then takes a selfie beside the Ballymore sign. He was like, not quite what I was expecting after speaking to Enda.
That is brilliant. What's Enda's name? His full name?
Enda
Keena. All right, yeah. No, I have family in Ballymore. Funnily enough, my mother is actually from my mother's side are from Streamstown and Horsley, which is like you throw a stone and land one and the other kind of. So I'm fairly familiar with Ballymore. All right, that's gas.
Yeah, no, so is everybody in KL. Funny enough,
Now, when I drive through it at the weekend, I'll send you some photos so you can get a full picture of how beautiful Ballymore actually is. Cunningham's pub, a petrol station, a graveyard, and a bend that quite a lot of cars nearly crash on. That's about the height of Ballymore, really. So, yeah, okay, that's a good one. That's gas. I can't believe that one. The next one then, well, Cian, are you in the Marty Party or the Des Cahill fan club?
Oh, that's a hard one. I probably have to go with Des Cahill, to be honest with you.
Yeah, good, because I was going to stop asking this question because Des was getting obliterated, so I was going to stop asking it.
Yeah, I know. Everyone goes with Marty. That's something like, there. Yeah, I'll go with Des Cahill and I'll put a full stop on it.
Okay, fair enough. Patty, a Marty or Des?
I'm a Marty man.
Marty man, okay. And Jenn, do you know who Marty or Des are?
I'm not sure you're speaking English. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Fair enough. Pat and Cian obviously haven't done their homework properly if you don't know who Marty or Des Cahill is. So that's part of your homework, lads, is to fill Jenn in on who the two lads are. So afterwards, you learn plenty.
I usually just pick whoever picks up the.
What is it?
You will.
Right,
I usually just pick my favourite commentators based on who is not Dublin or based on the Dublin bias. So if you had said Joe Brawley, I would have gone with him.
Okay, fair enough. Take that. Outside Crow Park, then Pat, you're outside Crow Park on All Ireland final day, and you have your fiver. Are you going with a hat, a flag, a scarf, or a headband?
Probably a pint.
A pint. Okay. Option 5. Pint. Okay, so you still have money for pints. So which one are you picking? Scarf. Okay. Cian, what about you?
Probably the headband. Yeah, I think my first Dubs game, I think my auntie used to always get me the headband, and I used to wrap it around my sister. So yeah, probably that.
Fair enough. And Jenn, have you a preference for any of the four?
Oh, I'll go with headband. It sounds cute. I'll take one of those.
Nice. Okay, good. Yep, we'll go with that. Cian or Pat, have you introduced Father Ted to the world in Kuala Lumpur?
I have, yeah. My girlfriend now, yeah, she's Malaysian, so she's seen Father Ted. I even had her watching Love Hate the other day to give her a real insight as to what Dublin is like. So she hasn't been to Dublin just yet. So, but yeah,
it's kind of an unfair representation considering a lot of that is filmed in Castleknock. It's not exactly the part of Dublin you'd expect a lot of that to happen, to be honest.
I'll have to balance it out, Father Ted and Love Hey. It's two different spectrums, so.
Yeah, fair enough, yes. So Father Ted has been introduced. Is there a favourite episode among you guys yourselves, or?
Christmas around the corner. It's probably the Christmassy special is in the back of my mind that I'm looking forward to watch, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the one with Father Stone, whatever that's called.
Yeah,
people get a good laugh out of that every time.
Father Stone is a bit of a legend, yeah. This is the newest question that I've asked. I picked this up randomly from a TikTok video and changed it to suit the GAA, and it's the most bizarre question I could think of because I wanted something a bit mental. Cian, I'm going to go to you first, and then I go to Pat, and then Jenn might have an answer for it or might not, but we'll see. Cian, you have to get a tattoo of any GAA player. Who are you getting and where are you getting it?
It's either Stephen Cluxon on my forehead or Aidan O'Shea on my arse, one or the other.
Pat is absolutely daggering you from the other corner. Pat, who are you getting? So,
that's I don't know.
You just get the entire youth team just tattooed across your chest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Go that one. So yeah, Aidan O'Shea in your arse. That's an interesting one. Why Aidan O'Shea and why in your arse?
It'd be one of those. It would be one of those really, really shit tattoos that looks nothing like him and is a terrible representation of him. And yeah, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Aidan O'Shea in your arse. Okay, that's up there. Yeah, of the three answers, the most fun one I've had so far. One of the girls said that she went on a trip to Thailand and her friend got her name tattooed on her arse. So she said she has to go back now and get her friend's name tattooed on her arse. So that's the best one I've had so far. And Jen, have you got a favourite GAA player that you would get tattooed?
Cian took mine. I would say Aidan O'Shea, but I keep close to my heart. Love that guy.
Okay, Aidan O'Shea on the heart. Good enough. Okay,
she's been brainwashed far too long.
Yeah, I can see the Mayo Scientology coming in here in the KL part of the club. So yeah, and then put you on the spot a little bit, Pat. The greatest GAA player ever in your lifetime?
I guess like growing up, I suppose Willie Joe Padden would have been my hero.
Yep.
Back in that day. So like I still probably think of him as one of the greatest players in my memories.
Legend. Yep. Cian, who's the greatest in your lifetime?
It's easy enough for me, but I think Brian Fenton, like in the modern day Dublin team, I think I can't look outside. I'd like to be able to go back and say, Jim Gavin in the 90s or Jason Sherlock, but no, Brian Fenton, he's, as everyone says, the Royal Rice of GAA. So yep. I've been lucky to see him up close playing with Raheny, and I've had lads playing against him, and obviously seen him in Croke Park. He's literally in a league of his own. Okay, and Jen, have you a favourite? Is it Aidan O'Shea, the favourite GAA player?
I'm hoping getting this right. Pat, is it Cora Staunton?
Cora Staunton, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the absolute brainwashing of the century.
Yeah. To be honest, we don't get to watch very much ladies football, unfortunately. So she's the one I know who's a complete stud. So I'll take her. Okay.
When we bring the girls out to Australia next time, maybe you could organise to play against her, since she's out there these days. So you might have more than 3 girls turn up the next time if you went out there.
Yeah,
possibly.
exactly.
So, yeah. And then the last few are Malaysian themed ones. It's just these are totally stupid ones, but they're great crack. Cian, you have a choice between the Malaysian curry or the Irish stew.
Am I in Irish weather or Malaysian weather? That's the question.
Wherever you want to be.
No, it'd have to be the Irish stew.
Irish stew.
I've worked for Guinness since I was 18, and Guinness beef stew is one of our staples. Yep. Plus I can't take spicy food at all, so I shy away from local food a lot of the time.
Fair enough, sounds good. Jen, you can go for the Batu Caves in Malaysia or the Niagara Falls.
Oh God, that's not even a competition. Definitely Niagara Falls.
Really? Okay.
Batu Caves.
If you ever come out, we'll bring you.
Okay. I don't think I went to the caves. Yeah, are they that bad? Are they?
It brings the bat has a strong part of that name. There's bat shit everywhere, and it's
these aren't the ones with I was in a set of caves, but I don't know if it was in Borneo or where it was, but it's the one that's like 200 foot high. The bats live in the roof. The cockroaches take over the ground. Is that it? Is that the one?
Oh, there's Mulu caves in Borneo, but Batu caves would be much different. You climb, and then it's quite
I'm not interested. Yeah, no, I'm sorry I asked the question. Yeah, I'm not interested anymore. Yeah. I can't ask this question to Cian because it's totally biased now that I know his profession. So, Pat, you can choose between the Petronas Towers or the Guinness Storehouse.
The Guinness Storehouse for sure.
Yeah. If I pick the Spire instead, would you just go for the Petronas Towers just because it's in Dublin, the Spire?
Yes. I mean, the Guinness part was the part that...
I was going to say, when I asked you about the hats, flags, scarves and headbands, you went for a pint. So I was like, right, maybe I should change that one up. So yeah, okay, fair enough. This one I can change now that you've given me a fantastic story. Pat, you can choose between Borneo or Ballymore.
Well, I mean, I haven't been to Ballymore. We talked about it. I've been to Borneo, so I guess I'd have to go and have a pint in is it Cunningham's, in Ballymore.
Okay, good. Cian, this will be an interesting one for you. Royal Stout or Orchard Thieves?
I am contractually obliged to say Orchard Thieves.
I was going to say, this would be interesting. Yeah, I am obliged.
If any of my employers heard me saying Royal Stout or anything to do with Carlsberg related product, I'd probably have some answering.
Okay, fair enough. Jen, you can choose between Connor's Original Stout, which I believe is Malaysian, or pint of Guinness.
How about a bottle of wine?
A bottle of wine. Option 3, yeah.
Option 3. I like a Ballymores and Magners. I like those.
That's handy if someone in the club who can provide them, then, isn't it? It's really handy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is it good for free Guinness or anything like that?
Yeah, I think so, eh? Cian. Sorry, what's the question?
Is Cian any use for providing free alcohol to the club?
A little bit here and there, eh, Cian?
In there, yeah. It's all under the table. He's keeping his lips.
Yeah, we managed to get a bit out of them for the last AGG, and the lads got a few points out of company. But yeah, Jenn prefers the wine, so there's nothing I can do in that category.
Okay, fair enough. I've started inventing a Guinness wine, which I'm sure will take off very well. And Jenn, maybe I'll ask this one to you. The Clark's Shoe Shop apparently was invented in Malaysia, which you didn't know. So you can choose between Clark's Shoe Shop or Jimmy Choo, who is Malaysian.
Jimmy
Really?
Choo, all the way, 100%.
Okay.
He's legendary.
I'm a big fan of Clark's Shoe Shop, I'm not going to lie.
Okay. I'd say most women would probably go with Jimmy Choo over the old Clark's, but I think there's probably some nice men's shoes maybe there.
Okay. Yeah, Clark's Shoe Shop do like shoes for a tenner, so I'm more than happy to go with them as opposed to paying Jimmy Choo prices. So last thing, Cian, since you have the top on, and I know this won't be going out to like January, February, March, whenever, but at the moment I'm doing promos and stuff for the clubs for their gear for Christmas. So where should people go to find the Orang Éire or Orange Éire, if they misspell it? Where should they go and find the gear?
At the moment, they can probably look at myself and Pat's storeroom. Yeah, we have a lot of gear here, but now we're actually, it's all available on the O'Neill's website. We get a lot of our stuff from O'Neill's, and then like training tops and polos we produce locally. But yeah, if anyone wants any gear at O'Neill's, or better if they just contact the club directly, and we've a small warehouse full of stuff here.
Lovely, yeah. Should be up in the next year. One should come up in the next couple of days when I'm throwing about 10 a day, hopefully before Christmas. So year one should be up in the next few days, hopefully. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for giving up your time and for filling the world on Orang Éire or Orange Éire for the dictionary on the phone, which will probably misspell it anyway. So, I am not sure exactly when this is going out just yet, but it will be in the new year at some stage. I'm just doing all the recordings because baby number 1 is due in March, so there's no point attempting to organize recordings around them because it's just not going to happen. I'll be changing a nappy in the middle of a recording, which wouldn't be much fun. So but thanks for giving up your time out there, giving up your evening, and I will keep in touch. And if you have any photos and stuff of the club for the YouTube audio I put together, feel free to send them on, and keep in touch. And I hope all goes well hopefully over the next few months and into the new year.
Cheers, Jason, and best of luck with you, baby.
Thanks very much.
Times ahead for you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, exciting. Yeah, and smelly apparently, I've been told as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I'll chat to you guys again soon.
All right,
Take care. Best of luck.
Take it easy.
Cheers.
Slán. Good luck. Bye.
Slán. Slán.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll never ever forget my first tournament in Dubai. I honestly thought I was gone. Like, I remember going into the dressing room after one of the first games, and I think it had been maybe at 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, usually a normal enough temperature. It was September, maybe the middle of September, and going in and lying on the floor and just wondering, like, the room was spinning. Now, I haven't had that experience since, but I honestly was wondering, how are we going to get used to this? But in fairness...
On Slice 52 on Thursday next, I chat to James from Monaghan, Aoife from Offaly and Levi from Dublin to find out the crack in Sharjah Gales in the Middle East. We chat about the mad crowd celebrations in Bahrain, the rivalry with Abu Dhabi Na Fianna, the Sharjah Wanderers Rugby Club, Levi dropping the hurl and kicking the schlitter, the club's 10th anniversary in 2022, standing for a round of Ian before finals, the Sharjah Gales club song, local Mullingar ladies Niamh and Ciara at the club, and the new quickfire question about GAA tattoos and the incredible answer from Levi, and a little about James's club selection in Monaghan, Aoife's home of Cappincur and Offaly, and Levi's club St Sylvester's. Don't miss it, it's fantastic. Next Thursday morning from 9 AM as I continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the arrivals hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagí.